I'm here with James, the superintendent for Gateway Homes of Wyoming in Casper, and one great thing about these guys is their quality control process is really superior to what you typically see in the market. James, what do you want to point out in terms of the framing process? What things are super important to look for that could affect the finishing of the home later on? Things that you might see in the construction process, if they're not caught at this stage of construction, that could impact, let's say the finishing of the sheetrock, how straight the baseboards are. What are some of those things that you guys do at this stage of construction to prevent some of those problems?
So Jason, one thing we'll go through and do at this stage of construction is I'll typically grab a 4-foot or a 6-foot level. I'll walk all the interior and exterior walls, and essentially what I'm looking for is just bowed studs or bowed out or bowed in studs. That can cause you real big problems future down the road when you're throwing sheetrock up. It can cause a wall to look completely unfinished. It might have cracks later on in the future. Another important aspect of this process is double checking all of your rough openings for doors, windows. Once the sheetrockers come in here and start going, it's essentially the same as licking that stamp and sending a letter off to Santa just to, it's not going to come back. You kind of need to make sure that everything is up to the plans, what the homeowners are looking for, design specs. Are we going to have a door that we're going to have to take apart and redo because it wasn't plumbed out straight? Are we going to have to take apart the drywall and fix the header height? There's so many different aspects that come into the framing. Straight lumber, locations, running plumbing up through the lumber. Everything has to be at a good point, because if it's not, you're going to run into issues after drywall, because once it's capped in, it's kind of a pain to get anything else fixed.
So I noticed on some of all of your guys' homes, you actually go through and you visually mark every single 2x4 or 2x6 stud inside the home, and I've noticed there's been like orange paint on certain 2x4s or 2x6s. What does the orange paint mean when you guys do that?
So I'll go through and I will discuss with our subcontractors first. Essentially, it's just a legend that I like to do. If I have a solid line, that means they need to go through with a planer and trim it down. If there's dots, it means that they need to go through and shim it out at the drywall process. If there's an actual X on the stud, I deem it as a stud that is too warped or bent to actually shim out and shave.
So what you're saying, it's a lot easier to really inspect the framing at frame stage before you proceed with the finishing of the home to ensure that the product is superior in the end with the fit and finish overall of the home.